I started researching consumption back in the 1990s. I actually got into it through researching work, and I developed this idea of the work and spend cycle. And then when I was giving a talk after my book on work time and the rise of work time, someone in the audience said, "How do you get out of the work and spend cycle?" And I thought, oh, good question, I don't know. And I began to study the social pressures to consume, what makes it hard for people to forego consumption. And that got me into the study of what in those days we called downshifters. So people who were going from sort of high consumption lifestyles where they worked long hours and earned pretty good money to earning less, spending less, living more simply. And that was a sort of, that is a form of ethical consumption, but it got me more interested in the question of ethical consumption itself. I also got interested in it because I founded, with a number of other people, I co-founded an NGO in the mid-1990s called the Center for a New American Dream, the purpose of which was to transform American lifestyles. So we were working with people who wanted to live differently, and we were interested in both reducing and shifting consumption, primarily for ecological reasons, but also for social justice reasons. So a fairer consumption regime, a sustainable one, and also a consumption system that was a lot more fun. One of our taglines used to be less stuff, more fun. Well, I don't usually admit this, but I wrote a book called The Overspent American in the 1990s, and after I finished that book, my husband said, "You wrote a book about yourself." So I wouldn't say I was not an indebted consumer or anything like that, but I definitely, as I look back on that time, I would say I wasn't really all that in control of my consumer habits. So I shopped too much, I bought too much, I went out to eat too much, and so forth. And writing that book helped me to understand why it was that I was doing those things. But it was also the beginning of a period of time where in our household, and by this time I had 2 children, we began to consume pretty differently. So some things we'd always done, we've always been a vegetarian household, but we began to compost. We reduced our eating out to pretty minimal eating out, and we cooked a lot, bought virtually all organic foods. I shifted jobs to a university where I could walk to work, and both my husband and I walked to work. We remodeled our house to make it extremely ecologically sustainable. So we halved our energy use, and we put in all sustainable flooring and non-toxic products, and we did not expand the footprint of our house. I started buying more sustainable products, in a variety of contexts. We shifted to a car insurance that was a green car insurer. So we just started doing lots of different things. We stopped taking vacations that involved flying for a long time. We would just go camping with our kids, and it was, as I've read in the literature, and I think even written a little bit about myself, I did have that experience that many other ethical consumers do, which is you take one step and it feels good, and you take another and another, and so you bring your lifestyle into more consistency, because those inconsistent parts start to feel more and more inconsistent as you transform the way you're living. And it's never been a sacrifice or something that felt negative. I mean, now I'm a vegan just because of mostly climate reasons. My daughter and I have been vegan together for much of the last couple of years, and So it's been a fun journey.